Hey, folks, and welcome back to the Women of Water Get Real virtual summit. We're talking about where and why women are leaking from the water career pipeline, how to stop those leaks, and how to bring women back when they left the workforce. And we're very excited today to have with us Dahlia Sabri, who is an officer with the International Water Resources Association. And of course, we have this program occurring during the week of UN Water, the very first time there has been a UN Water for nearly 50 years. Right. And that's going to be in New York City. She's going to be there. I'm going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there. That's why we have an encore week the following week, but you can watch the whole program all over again after the program, after you get back from UN Water or all of your World Water Day events. But yeah, she's doing some really exciting work related to gender and water. And Dahlia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Kate, for having me.
Yes. Did you pronounce your name correctly?
Dahlia. Yes.
Yeah, Dahlia.
Yes.
Okay, Dahlia Sabri, Dr. Kat Schreier. And yeah, so tell us a little about we usually start with everyone kind of give us a little of your background and how you got into doing what you're doing now. So let's just start there.
Okay, so I'm a civil engineer. I have many degrees in civil engineering. My master's, my PhD, my master's, and my bachelor was in civil engineering. I got my bachelor from Cairo University, and then I moved to Sweden for 2 years to finish my master's from Lund University in water resources engineering. After that, I got my PhD from TU Berlin. In Germany, also in water resources engineering. So yeah, this is my education.
Yeah. And then it's funny. There's a lot of value in getting different perspectives. In fact, while I was getting my PhD in civil engineering at water resource planning management at Colorado State, I found this little brochure somebody had tacked to the bulletin board in the office for this International Perspectives in Water Resources Planning program that University of Iowa is doing. And they had a lot of international students and faculty at this Iowa Water Institute. And so, they started bringing a group of engineers, because it can be hard to do like a foreign study semester or something and interrupt your engineering degree, but they would do it during the breaks. And so you kind of prepare during the semester, and then during Christmas break or during the break between, spring and summer, you go to, did they go to Egypt? I'd been to Egypt on my own, and actually went and connected with the folks at the Water Resources Institute, because Colorado State has a strong connection there.
Yes.
But with the Iowa program, we went to Taiwan and Japan, China and the Three Gorges projects, Romania, Hungary, and Poland at a time when those nations were emerging from the Iron Curtain, and just seeing different water from different perspectives. What was that like for you when you're having this very international series of degrees?
Well, actually, it was very interesting. It was very multidisciplinary. We had a lot of the program when I joined Sweden, it was an international program, so I had like 15-17 colleagues from different countries. So it was very we have multicultural in the class. When the professor starts to discuss one issue, everybody reflects from his own country. So you get to know a lot of countries, how they deal with water, with the utilities, with the infrastructure projects, because every country has its own features and characteristics. So I would say that it's a very rich experience. It was very interesting for me, and I hope I can go back again to be a student in a multicultural class, especially when we have one time when I was studying in Sweden, we had an excursion to Denmark. I used to take a course in river restoration, so it was like a field trip to Denmark, Aarhus. So we were in sitting together, staying together in one hostel, and cooking together different dishes from different. Everyone cook from his country, a different dish. So and we go outside and see what the Denmark is doing for the restorations for the river. So I would say that I learned a lot, and I hope anybody can get this experience, because it's really enriching your personality.
Yeah, and I think occasionally it would have young professionals join them in the IWRA program, and that can be just such an enriching experience. And we've even had people for Water Citizen News that were water professionals who would go on vacation, climbing Kilimanjaro or traveling around India, but because we have a water mind, we notice those things. Oh, look, the first ever aqueduct from centuries ago, or
yes,
we're your water awareness doesn't turn off just because because you're on vacation. But yeah, there's sometimes conversations around, is water global, is water local? Water is a local issue, and it's only the local utilities. And sometimes people go to their state school or their local college, and they're just focused on what's in their individual area. And the international world can be very different. We were talking about UN Water and the process of getting credentialed as a nonprofit organization or as a media organization. When you're in this space of diplomats and all these official processes, it's a very different world, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you see what is there in India, for example, how they deal with the groundwater problem and the abstraction, and when you come to Egypt, you find a different methodology that we invented because of our circumstances. So every country with their different conditions, they try to accommodate and adapt to their problems. So it is very interesting to know about other countries. And this is what we learn from this kind of international programs, or when we meet together in international NGOs like in IWRA. Also, we are having a lot of diversity, people coming from different countries and different backgrounds as well. It's not only engineers, so it's very interesting to be in an interdisciplinary and diverse culture to get. To know people and their backgrounds, and to learn from them. You have your own experience, and you get from you learn from their experience as well. And this, as I said, it really make your personality more rich. And yeah, I think it's very good.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to UN Water, and having grown up doing model United Nations in high school, and even in my middle school years, my brother was in the club and came down. They created a little middle school level model United Nations, and now he's actually working for the US delegation for the United Nations.
Ooh,
yeah. But so it can be, you get the comparative aspect, and then there is the how do you actually make decisions as a collective. And I know we want to talk about the gender issues, but just for those who are going to UN Water, what can they expect? How is it different from saying your industry or professional conference in your own country, or this or what should people expect there?
Well, actually, the UN conference is, as you know, that it's one of its kind. I mean, the last one was in 1977, I guess. So this is like, it has been a very long time since the UN make a conference, a water conference. So this one, everybody's looking forward to this one. We're looking for actions. We had enough talk. When we very too many meetings, and each year we're suffering from the same problems, and they say, okay, we'll do this year, and nothing is done. So now I think the time for actions. Everybody's looking for how we're going to implement what we already discussed all these years. I mean, for 50 years we are just talking. So this is just like an evaluation where we stand now and how we are going to proceed. I mean, we need to take actions. I attended COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. We had the water pavilion, and it was a very rich also experience where we had many NGOs, water NGOs. And every day we had different themes and different speakers from a lot of countries around the world. So everybody was saying the same thing. We are done with talking. We need action. We need to know what we are going to do, because, you know, climate change is affecting the water. Water shortage is it's a fact now, and everybody was denying climate change. But now when you see the impacts, the extreme events, the droughts, floodings everywhere, so people now can see that climate change is not a myth. Climate change, it's a fact. So we at the UN, we're planning to make a lot of meetings, and IWRA also, we're having a lot of couple of events that we need to decide what we are going to do, what's next, what are the implementation steps, not only talk, you know.
Yeah, because you know, when my brother and I both went to Dartmouth College, we both did the London School of Economics and Political Science, you know, semester abroad, and but you know, he kind of did that international route and then joined the Foreign Service, and I kind of went a little more domestic. And but there's you know, whether you're bringing people together in a town of different water uses or along a river basin or a watershed, you know, there is that element of diplomacy. Of how do you bring everyone together? How do you get everyone, you know, out of their own, you know, we're here for the fish, we're here for the agency, we're here for, you know, for this regulation or this money or this, you know, industry, and into, you know, how can we work together on our resources, whether it's a, you know, watershed or a town or a homeowners association scale, or, you know, or whether it's, you know, on an international scale, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you look, Dr. Kate, at the themes of the UN water conference, there you have like water for climate, water for sustainable development, water for health, water for cooperation, transboundary cooperation. We have a lot of problems with transboundary waters. I mean, not I will not speak about Egypt and our problems, but I mean, water, it's action decade. We have a theme for action decade, how to accelerate the implementation of the objectives of the decade. We already have a lot of objectives, but nothing is done. I wouldn't say nothing, but we need more work. We need more action, and we need the action plan to start working on our problems.
And you know, you see a lot of people with those little rainbow, you know, circle pins for the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and people are like, "This is mine. I'm 5. I'm 4. I'm 7. Whatever." You know, that I do fish. I do, you know, water supply, and that. But you know, and especially with climate change interposed over everything, water really is either directly or indirectly involved with just about all of them.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I usually I usually say that water is a connector sector. It's not one sector. Water is not a separate sector. It's connecting all of them. I mean, if you look, you find like maybe 17 out of the SDGs are as far as I remember, are connected to water. So if water is affected, all the other SDGs will be affected. So it's not only a separate sector that you can treat it as on its own. So
for anyone out there, anyone saying, "Oh, I don't do water," you know, "Oh, well, I'm not interested in this conference because you know, I'm not in the water sector. I don't work for a water utility," or it's like, it's not about that, you know.
If you don't have clean water, you will have a lot of health issues. You have a lot of problems with people's health. If you don't have enough water, people will get thirsty and maybe they will die. I mean, water is connecting all the sectors together. People don't understand you have to look at the picture as a whole picture, not only one sector by a sector.
Right. And we've covered for water system media, you know, the human side of water. We cover a lot of different ways of looking at it. That, you know, when, you know, the Haiti earthquake, you know, damaged a lot of infrastructure, and they said first thing we need to do is get our airports back. It's like some of the water people like, you know, you really need to think about clean water. that wasn't the first thing you looked at, and suddenly you get cholera, right? You get diseases, outbreaks
Right.
after a disaster. So we talked to Marcia St. Martin, who was head of New Orleans agency during Katrina, and everything that goes with that, mental health associated with the stress around
Exactly.
a disaster, and certainly security. We had a great video with crap, I'm gonna blank on his name now, from Colombia, who was talking about that if you want to stop wars, you give people wells. Give them a borehole before you give them a weapon. And that,
Yeah.
That often the lack of industry, lack of food production because of a drought causes people to look at another country and say, oh, well, look, you've got green grass, you've got wells, you've got water, we're going to have a war.
Exactly. I mean, without water, you cannot live, you cannot work, you cannot, if you don't have enough water, you cannot cultivate your crops, you cannot you have food security. Water security is needed for food security, for human health, for livelihoods in general. So, yeah, I mean, we have to look at the picture from outside.
So now let's come back to gender, which is, of course, also one of the SDGs, and this idea around, and remind me, what do you remember off the top of your head what the exact wording of that particular SDG is?
You mean the gender equality?
Yes.
No, gender equity, yeah.
Yeah, and so one of them is 5 and one of them is 6. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's 5 and 6, 5 and 6.
No, I mean, 6 is water and sanitation for all, but 5 is specifically for gender.
Right. So looking at that connection, and actually, that we think about, this week, a lot of people are talking, when we're recording, it's the week before UN Water. A lot of people are talking about CSW, or the Commission on the Status of Women. That's another big, in an annual conference. And water doesn't always come up in those areas. I was part of a summit last year that was talking about, water as a human right, and why women need to think about water as, an essential area for women to be able to accomplish anything else. We talk about how the UN has at various times over the years, depending on who's in charge and whatnot, whether you're looking at women of water as in women working in the water space, and women and water, oh, those poor women with buckets on their heads walking 5 miles uphill both ways, getting chased by tigers and raped and not going to school.
Yeah, we have women who are the users of the water utilities, for example, the girls and women. That to provide water for your household, it's a women work. It's a woman task. The man who will never go out searching for water. So and we have women as a professional water professionals. So the International Water Day theme this year was to embrace equity. So we need the world to know that we don't have enough opportunities for women in the water sector. Last year was to accelerate equity and to have gender equality for sustainable tomorrow. So if we have equity today, we have sustainable tomorrow, sustainable world, I mean. So I just want to start with one issue, is like why we need women in water.
Yes.
This is the question. I always, when you speak to people, especially men, they say you're working, you need all this talk or hassle about women in water. No, we need to make them understand why we are important in this field.
We're scientists, we're engineers. We don't see gender. We just see numbers.
Yes. I mean, they always underestimate women. They always say we are the male engineers. They don't. So I think this field needs more talented people like us, like women. Women are the service. When they work as a service provider, they will know what is the problems. So when they are the users and they are the service providers, so they can link the cycle to the the work side and as a users from the other side. So I think there is a need to tell them that we are very skilled water professionals, and we are able to do the work as much as they can, and this work needs to be diversified. So they need women in this field. It's not only men.
Yeah, and
So,
you know, within the region, within the Middle East, right? Egypt has been an area that you know gets a lot of Western tourists, a lot of you know business
yes.
connections with other parts of the world, and you know perhaps has been seen a little more progressive and a little more open. But there is you know, and not just in the Middle East, but in many parts of the world, there are cultural aspects and religious aspects that often get codified into legal aspects. And of course, we've been watching on social media what's happening in Iraq right now, when women stood up for themselves, of you know, not just personal attitudes, but you know, legalized basically oppression of women, right? And how does that balance with the idea of women, you know, earning their own way, not necessarily being married, not necessarily having kids, not you know, being leaders, women leading men? Has that come up in your experiences, you know, especially someone who has worked and gone to school in other countries? How does that come up in the Arab and other Middle Eastern countries?
I would say that you're right on everything you just said. We have a lot of females in the Middle East, in Egypt. They face a lot of barriers and constraints to get a job. We have social barriers, we have financial barriers. So I would speak about my experience. Well, I was lucky because I had a very supportive family, so I did not face a problem when I was for example, I was traveling to do my master's. I was very young, so my mother was supporting me. She didn't say, no, you're just a young girl, you don't go to Europe, we are very young by yourself. No, she was planning with me all the traveling issues, and she was very supportive, as also my father.
Right.
So but I have friends, female friends, who studied engineering with me at school, and they didn't have any support from their families, and they were told that after we supported you to study engineering, but after that you will just find a husband and stay home, because that's enough with education. So they were deprived from their right to continue education and to find a good job and to have a career because of the social barriers, especially outside the big cities like Cairo, Alexandria, and we have you know this rural areas. It's not for women, not allowed to go outside after a certain hour, and should not to go alone, and a lot of social barriers, also financial barriers. And this is something I think the donors and the development partners should take care of, because females, some of them, they really want to proceed and develop their career, but they don't have the financial resources, and they suffer a lot to find these resources. So it is very important to encourage these women with the financial resources to provide a good education for them after college as well.
Yeah, and that's really important, that having that financial support to complete, whether in engineering, whether you're an operator, whether you know whatever that is, to complete your schooling. And you know, and this doesn't just happen in other countries, or even you know in the US, of people from other backgrounds, but even you know in certain regions of the US and certain communities or rural areas or what have you, you know, or in the South or whatever. I mean, there's some areas where there's this, you know, explicit or implicit idea that, yeah, it's okay for you to study what you want, but your job first and foremost is to, you know, go get married,
Yes.
is to create
Mhm.
grandchildren for your parents, is to, you know, that should be your first priority. Or where women, you know, graduate and then they get started in their career, and then the pressure starts of, okay, enough of this fun stuff. Now you need to go find a husband. You need to start having kids, and, you know, cut back. You shouldn't be running all over the world, you know, saving the world and building dams and then, you know,
Yeah.
saving fish and whatever you're doing, right? You've got to have kids, biological clock, whatever it is. That pressure isn't just in, you know, certain religions or certain countries, right?
Yeah, I think you're right, but I mean, maybe it exists everywhere, but in the Middle East, for example, the pressure is much more than other parts of the world, I
And,
guess.
and it's legalized, you know, it's like
Yes,
Jim Crow for Black
and
Americans.
socially accepted.
Yes.
Nobody denies the right of the father if he wants his daughter to sit home. I mean, females with the object, but other people know, say it's her father, so he has a right to tell her what to do.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
even, you know, physical violence against
yeah.
women if they act out, if they're out of place. And you know, we've talked about, you know, instances, you know, again, even here in the States where, you know, men might, you know, not necessarily assault, but even just that physical, you know, standing over you and yelling at you, and it's,
Mhm.
you know, that can be really frightening for women. You know, and especially if anyone has ever been in a situation where, you know, they've been hit, they've been, you know, boyfriend, family member, whatever, you know, the threat is real. And then we, you know, we're going through our LinkedIn scrolling and everything, and we see images of things happening. You know, again, what happened in Iraq, and around the women who, you know, were standing up for themselves and really faced some very severe consequences. Women, you know, enforced marriages with genital mutilation. I've got a sister-in-law who works on genital mutilation, and, you know, I mean, it's kind of a little extra burden on top of trying to learn calculus, right?
Yeah. Well, I hear about this stuff, but I would say that the situation in Egypt is much more better.
Yes.
I mean, it's people are now, because they are more educated, and the social media, and the world is different now.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it was like this like 50 years ago, or maybe 40 years ago, but now I think it's changing.
Right. Right.
So I don't think I haven't heard of one of my acquaintances that there is any physical violence or stuff.
Right.
But
Right.
I think it's changing. So
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
also as I said, it's from the side of the donors, for example, like when you work in a project and they ask for a gender percentage, like females should be hired in this project.
Right.
So this encourage the more females to get into the work task, the work field. So it's very good to have this in the projects, which is funded by donors from outside.
You know, looked at things like, you know, there's been a recent study by the World Bank on gender parity in water. What are some of the barriers that have come up? Yeah, we talked about it a lot, that they focus on the 4 areas, and we add a 5th of career reentry. If someone leaves, how do they get back in? But one of the things that has that comes up is, it, you know, it's not just enough to go with the obvious, you know, what might seem obvious of, okay, we want to help women, what do we do? Oh, let's put childcare and lactation rooms in the utilities, and that proves that you've done everything you need to do you know, to keep women in the workplace, right? It's nice you had your kids there, whether that's the best thing to do or not. You know, as long as you can lactate for the, you know, relatively small amount of time of being a parent that you're actually
Yeah.
lactating, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But certainly safety concerns. I remember when I was working for a relatively small environmental consulting firm, and I was doing project management and proposals and whatnot. And we had one woman geologist and one woman engineer, and sometimes all three of us would be out on a job site. They're like, the girls team, yeah. But occasionally we would do like these audit these surveys, going door to door, making sure people had water, and for the state, and whether they needed to be hooked up onto the city water system or if their wells were working. And we had one woman out there alone, and the guy tried to grab her and pull her in the house, and she had to run. And and she was so she didn't want to say anything, because there was that not wanting to feel like you can't do the job because of those threats. And what ended up happening is we actually went to the client and required them to add a second person, which is actually a safety issue for anyone. A lot of things that are safety for women are also safety for anyone. Wearing proper back support, so you're not lifting things and hurting yourself, instead of doing the macho thing where guys are trying to carry some big heavy object. Things that support women often support men as well. But there's all these other little factors. Making sure that you have personal protective equipment that's actually fitted to women's bodies and the many different types of women's bodies. We're going to talk to someone who does boots for women, that they don't have the big clunky so red
safety shoes. I suffered a lot to find my size. Safety shoes. I always find 40. I was like, I don't wear 40, so
I had to drive to like the far corner of Virginia the first time I got my OSHA, HAZWOPER training and was going to go out in the field, the only place that actually had women's sizes. And now that's improving, and all the body wear and everything, that it's not just pink it and shrink it, like make it, give them a pink hat and a smaller size, even though it's the fit isn't right, and that's not safe when women are not in properly fitted clothing, right?
Well, that's as I said, it's part of the male dominant the workforce, the market. They think this is their own market, this is their jobs, so that's why they don't think about maybe a female will come. So I think this is part of it. It's completes the picture.
We're not just a novelty.
Yes, exactly.
Or roll us out on Women's Day or whatever, and hey, look, we've got a woman, isn't that great?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here, so
yeah. There was actually a session at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce International Women's Day, where one of the big corporations was talking about opening a plant in, I can't remember what country, and maybe Rwanda or something, and that they were hiring lots of women, but that a lot of the women were really distracted because they had so many pressures at home, and that until they had a program to help them make sure that they had the supports at home so they could be fully present at work. How does that come up, this idea that it's not an either or? We can't mommy track women just because or exclude them from the workplace or exclude them from opportunities because they have kids, but also recognize that often we have more demands to be responsible for what happens with the kids, with elderly parents. The guys can go to work. It's like, oh yeah, my wife takes care of my kids. Oh yeah, my mom's going to home. Yeah, that's really sad. But my wife is the one who goes in every day and visitors, right?
I mean, I think I wouldn't exaggerate if I say that they don't hire women because of this, because you will be pregnant one day and they will have kids, and they don't want to waste their money on the maternity leave and insurance and all these issues. So from the beginning, sometimes in the interview, they ask you if you are planning to have a kid, if you're planning to get married. I mean, they ask all the personal questions because they think they own you. So they will give you maternity leave, they will give you insurance, and they will train you, and then after some time you will take leave because you're pregnant, and then they will have to find someone else to replace you, which is, they think this is a cost for them. So from the beginning, they don't hire women because of these issues. I heard about it. I knew some people who face this, and this exists.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, it's not legal in the US to ask those questions technically. Doesn't necessarily stop from trying to get it out of you as like, oh hey, I was just taking my kid to soccer practice, and you know what that's like, right? Just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But and at the same time, sometimes perhaps it would be a good conversation to have, to know that your employer is going to actually not just have maternity leave in the brochure, but actually approve you being on maternity leave, or while you're at maternity leave, not calling you every day to say, oh, we can't find this, oh, can't you just stop by the office for a few minutes and do this and this, or get online and
Yeah.
do it for us. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not maternity. I actually just Dartmouth, my alma mater, Dartmouth, had a like 50th anniversary of our co-education, and there was a woman who was very senior in finance, and like what an accomplishment it was, and how much they promoted having this new maternity leave policy. And she was one of the first who happened to be testing it, and she gets home and she's 2 weeks out of passing a watermelon, and then
Yeah.
feeling like she's been hit by a Mack truck, and someone's calling her up saying, oh, can you help us with this? It's like, yeah. So
Actually, this reminds me, if I'm not interrupting you,
yeah.
of my first interview when I was very young and fresh, and have all the dreams that I'm going to be a leader in the water profession. I was called for an interview at I would say at a medium-sized company, and then the one who was interviewing me, she was also a young engineer. She was an architect, but
Yeah.
the company is owned by her father. So while we were doing the interview, and she was asking me questions, and what you're going to do, and the job tasks, and all this, her father came, and I didn't know that it's her father. She introduced me to him, that he's the owner of the company. And then he was just looking at me and then said, why did you call a female engineer for an interview? I was like, I didn't say anything. I mean, he was talking to his daughter, and she said that I found her CV good, and she got good grades, and she looks good, engineer. I said, no, I don't want a female engineer in my company. And then I was really shocked. I didn't know what to say, but I didn't interfere in the conversation.
Yeah.
And she told him, I am a female, I am an engineer, and you hired me. He told her, no, you are my daughter. I hired you because you're my daughter. So
Right.
I don't want other female engineers to come and learn, and then after some time say, okay, bye bye, I'm getting married, I'm pregnant, and she wastes my time, my money, and then the conversation starts which was at the beginning was an interview. It ended up to be a very long conversation between the father and daughter about the women rights, and she got angry at him, and she said, no, I support her, and I'm like her as well. I'm a female engineer, and
Right.
so it happened. It
Right.
happened to me, and I think it happened to many women. You would hear the same story from different women, that when you apply for a job, you're refused because only you're a female, you're a woman.
Yeah.
It's not because of your qualities. It's not because of how to do your job or not. It doesn't do anything with your qualifications. It's only because you are a female, and they want only male to be hired.
Yeah.
And also projects, as I said, that some donors put a condition that you should hire women. Some of the project managers told me that if this condition doesn't exist, they wouldn't hire women in the project, because it's just a waste of time. Many of them think that it's a waste of time, waste of money, waste of effort. I don't know. We have to change this.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. I
cultural
mean,
issue as well,
that
that women
was,
are only for house, for to be a wife and give birth, and it's a cultural issue as well.
Right. And whether that's overt or covert, where they find other, people talk about, oh, women just aren't confident because they think they have to get 9 out of 10 of the qualifications to apply, and men will just apply. And I think, in many cases, women are conditioned that way because they do apply for things that they feel good about, they feel confident about, and they're told, well, you didn't get this one, you didn't get this one, you didn't get this one, when it's really, we just don't want women in this position. And
Yes.
and so, yeah, is it changing over time? Yeah. Is it just a generational thing? No. There are also younger men who,
Yes.
once somebody has sort of been indoctrinated in that belief that that's not a place for women, that women shouldn't be doing this, then that's very hard to convince, even with sharing your story and all that sort of stuff. And it's also not just a matter of cramming more women and girls into the pipeline. And one of the reasons I thought of doing this summit was I'd been approached by a woman who'd gotten over $250,000 from some family foundation to do stuff on gender parity in the water, in water, and international perspectives on that, and diplomatic approaches and all that stuff. But she made it very clear to me very quickly, and we basically parted ways because she said, my funders don't want to talk about that. They only want to talk about kids. They only want to, we got to inspire kids. We got to get more young women into the pipeline.
Yes.
And if we don't look at the full picture, this is not about attacking men or saying all men are bad or all white people are bad or all whatever, old people are bad. It's we're problem solvers. Let's get real and talk about what the real issues are, and how do we begin to change that, and continue to be conscious and vigilant how to put practices in place and laws in place that that acknowledge and protect, and not just be reliant on, oh, my CEO is a really good guy, my general manager, he's really supportive, he's got daughters, he understands, because that person can leave and the whole culture can change overnight.
Yeah, I mean, we are not attacking anyone. We represent half of the population, so we deserve to be represented as well in all the workforce. So I don't think it's a very good initiative. Thank you very much for this, and thanks for the one who gave you the money. I really thank her for this initiative. We need this. We need more advocacy for women in water and in all other professions. We need to show that there is a lack of understanding. We need more education. We need to educate the new generations as well. It's not only as you said, it's not only old men who think like that. No, new generations. I have met them, and they talk the same way as the old ones. So they believe the same. They have to stay home. And
yes.
so it's not a generation issue. No,
Yes.
it's a cultural issue and education. We need to educate the young people that women are represent half of the population, and they are capable of doing the work as much as you are, and show them that there are a lot of role models in the field. This is what we need to focus on this, and show that a lot of successful women are there. It's not only men who are doing the work. So thank you for this initiative. I really like it.
And I do want to clarify, she didn't give me any of the money. And in fact, she kicked me off her study committee because I wanted to talk about more things. And doing stuff on gender and youth this week at UN Water, and getting a lot of support from other organizations. That's concerning when other, when big companies, when associations then endorse that and put their names and give their money as well. When I see a lot of kind of these homegrown programs, he talks about, I'm the first and only woman-led organization working on this. It's like, okay, there's Water Citizen has had the Women Water Leader Circles and has done the the Women Water Leaders series since we started in 2012. Her 2.0, we hear from Brianna Huber, she's on the summit. Amanda Jones and Women in Water with a WOMXN Women, and her Women Crushing Wednesdays masterminds. There's the Women Water Nexus in American Society of Civil Engineers and Environmental and Water Resources Institute. There's a number of organizations, San Diego Women of Water, several other organizations are cropping up, often aren't getting funding. These are fully volunteer efforts. Me and my team, I'm a volunteer. I've got another volunteer who's a recent grad, got her geology degree at 30 something years old, went back to school, and two amazing virtual assistants that are, wanting to learn about summits. And so, I managed to get a lower price that I wish I could pay them more, and just working their tails off. We're all, 24/7. We're working on getting the interviews, uploading the interviews, putting together the marketing material, everything to make sure that we reach as many people as possible with the summit without sponsorship, without grants. And I hope that those who support these efforts recognize that you can't just fund those who have a lot of money to begin with, just came out of an MBA program or an incubator program, are able to put together some fancy pitch deck, for an investor funding or for a family foundation or for a grant, and say, oh, let's throw money at them, and not look deeper and say, do they really have any connection? Do they really know water? Or, are they just saying, oh, look, here's an issue that I could get involved with, right? And I think it's and especially if people are going to try to tamp down on conversations related to what happens in the rest of the pipeline, or even stop not even looking at it as a pipeline, because people may have to take side steps in and out of their career at various points in their lives, or try different ways of doing water. And we have to look at more than just cramming people in the front. And that's a very easy thing to get money for. If you do everything about the kids, everyone wants to throw money at the kids. Everyone wants to throw money at, oh, those poor women overseas. But we have women in the water workforce we are speaking at. We have over 40 amazing women and one amazing trans man in this summit. And I hope that together we are raising awareness. And I'll be there in New York City. Didn't get my credentials, so I'll be on the outside and at all the side events. Figuring out the United Nations is kind of hard.
Yeah, it is. It's a very long process and very complicated, but next time.
40, another 40.
Yeah, God knows when.
Hopefully there'll be another one more recently. And then, but for those of you who are on the inside, and of course, if you're in the New York area, or you can get to New York next week, there are many, many, many organizations that are having side events, whether they're at the UN or offsite in New York. New York City is doing an entire New York Water Week, the entire week. They're doing film festivals. They're doing, we'll be going up Sunday for a big film festival event at Columbia University on Sunday night with Brave New World and a lot of the water organizations there. You'll share your information. If you look on this site, you'll see all the information on what IWRA. Oh, and I forgot, can you give us a real quick scoop of what IWRA is and how it's different from IWA and what your role is there before we go?
Yeah, we can. I don't know what difference between IWRA and IWA, but I think we are more focused on bridging the gap between the policy side and the science side. We are not into technology or industry. We're on research side, and how politicians, decision makers can deliver our messages to them, so we can enhance the communication and get a better overview of the picture and better decisions. So I think IWA is more into the technology and industry side.
Yeah, I think IWA is kind of the international version of, say, like a American Water Works Association or Water Environment Federation, kind of more working with the water sector, water and wastewater utilities, and anyone
Yes,
who works
exactly.
for them.
Yeah.
IWRA being more like American Water Resources Association in this country, and similar, Canadian Water Resources Association, et cetera, that
Yeah. We're more
more
we
multidisciplinary, more
yeah.
academics, more policy, and
We have lawyers, we have engineers, we have agriculture people. We are more we have multidisciplinary, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course the diversity in other ways as well. We didn't really get a chance to talk about things like, being at the UN, where, so many, there's been so much colonializing all over the world of Western white cultures. Here in the U.S., we were the first inhabitants here in the U.S. But
Yeah.
the racial aspects of countries that are not white, and
Yeah.
the UN, everybody's got an equal voice and equal opportunity to be.
Yeah, I'm really looking
Hopefully.
forward to hear from everybody. I mean, everyone comes for to speak from his own perspective. So I think it will be very rich meetings and events the whole week. So
And just real quick, your role at IWRA, you were actually elected a very high prestigious position there and have been very active over the years.
Yes, I'm elected as a board director. So we, as a board, we are going there, and there will be a lot of side events outside the headquarters, and there will be a couple of events that IWRA also is a partner. So we're
Awesome.
having a lot of activities there. So,
and we'll put those in the site. But have you guys had that conversation consciously? A number of associations have done that, of really looking more at diversity, including women within your organization, at your events, and as leaders within your industries and professions.
Well, I mean, if you speak about the board, it's a free election, so I wouldn't say that they choose who's coming, because you can nominate anybody and you nominate yourself, so it depends on the election. But of course, in any other committees or in the task forces, we ensure that we have women in this to have integrity with women. So I will just say that we have, for example, we have one side event in the with women. Let me just see.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, we can throw that up there real quick. And we're looking forward. I'm looking forward to, while the summit is playing, and you guys are all watching the videos and typing in the chat, and please do type in your comments, your questions, your own experiences, and stay involved. And we're going to be, watching those and responding and moderating those, making sure that there's no trolls in here and no rants or anything. Well, maybe you can rant, but not attack anyone. But yeah, to be able to get up there and head into some of these.
Yeah, so can you see my screen?
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, so these are the events. We are leading site event on water economy, ecology nexus, and changing environment, a roadmap for New York to Beijing to Bali, because also we have our congress in Beijing in September. So this is one of the side events we're leading, and we have side events that we are as partner organizer. Nice. So some of them are inside in the UN headquarters, and some are outside.
Yes. So, yes. And so that's important for those who may not be credentialed. You can still be involved in side events. You can still be involved. Like I said, Columbia University is doing the film fest. There's a lot of activities going on, official and unofficial. We had applied to make this an official virtual event, because a lot of places are also doing virtual events and webinars here and there. But we've got a whole week of nearly 50 presentations. So wherever you are in the world, you're welcome to join us, and we love having you.
And we have one on the 23rd on supporting gender equality in the water action agenda with global multi-stakeholder effort. So I think this would be interesting for you, Dr. Kate. So
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I'm doing screenshots and everything. So you guys take a screenshot and you know, if you're in town, if you can get to town, and I guess there should be places where people can register for that.
mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a very busy weekend with too many people
What's
and
do you have a
events.
web address for that, or we can put it on
Yeah, it's IWRA.org.
okay,
So
so it's just right there on the front. So
yeah.
yeah, so if you are, you know, those of you watching, if you happen to be in the New York area, or you can get yourself there, you know, I'm going to be going on a bus from New York City or from Washington D.C. up to New York. There's lots of cheap buses, Bolt bus, and all of the rest. You know, lots of options to get up there. You don't have to do the, you know, some people like Amtrak. But there's more affordable things too. But yeah, you know, get yourself out there and you know, just see what's going on and get yourself registered and you know, be part of the celebration. And of course, watch this. And if you are up there during UN Water Week, remember we have an entire encore. Every single one of the presentations that we do between the 20th and 24th will be played again between the 27th and the 31st. And of course, you also have an option of if you just absolutely can't get either of those, you have an option of doing the power pack, the empowerment package, and have lifetime access to all of the events and watch them on your own schedule with some other really cool bonuses. So great. Well, thank you again so much for being here with us, Dahlia, today. Any
Thank
final
you very
thoughts
much.
for our audience?
No, I would say that I would love to meet as many people as I can in New York. It's about communication and getting together and exchange our knowledge and ideas. It's time for action, as I said, and I'm really thankful for you, Dr. Kate, for this hard work, I would say. I can imagine interviewing 40 women. So thank you very much again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and other water professional in New York.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I will see you in New York. Those of you online, I'll see you either in New York or I'll see you online. And thank you so much for being here. Come on back to all of the great interviews that we have in this amazing Women of Water Get Real virtual summit. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for joining us for this extraordinary conversation, one of 45 extraordinary conversations we had as part of the Women of Water Get Real virtual summit, where we explored where and why women are leaking from the water career pipeline, how we can stop those leaks, and even bring women back to water. I hope that you will enjoy all of these amazing interviews. If you don't have a chance to watch all of them during the summit, you have the opportunity to join us with a power pack and get lifetime access to all the videos, as well as an opportunity to join us for 30 days in a brand new community where we will dig even deeper in live facilitated conversations about some of the issues that are facing women in water. Look forward to seeing you there. Please join us at watercitizen.org/women, watercitizen.org/women for more information. See you again soon.